Will it be a Biden-Buttigieg ticket? And we're going to look at the coronavirus. How much of it is real? All of it. How much of it is hype designed to put fear in people? Maybe a lot of it. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. About 6 months ago, I started predicting that it would be a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. We're going to see if I was right. You can go back. Those of you who are in the media and you want to check and see, go back and look at some of the episodes going as far back as 6 months ago when we were trotting around the country interrupting Biden events or interrupting Buttigieg events or holding demonstrations or people acting dressed up like Jesus, crown of thorns, pulling a cross, blood all over him, while Buttigieg whipped him or Biden whipped him. The reason we did that is because both of these men claim to be Christians, and yet both of them support the brutal killing of unborn babies by abortion. And Jesus said, whatever you do to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, said, you do to me. Clearly, unborn babies are a part of who Jesus is referring to when he says the least of these. Now, a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. Why? As we have seen in recent days, the Democrat machine is coalescing around Biden. Yes, Jesse Jackson has endorsed Bernie in the Michigan primary. Yes, there are other high-profile liberals who are endorsing Bernie. But by and large, the machinery of the Democrat Party, the elected officials, former presidential candidates such as Kamala Harris, she has now endorsed Biden. Even though she jumped on him for his alleged racism some 30 or 40 years ago, now she's saying, I like Joe. Maybe she's angling for a VP nomination. I don't know. But nevertheless, it's Biden's to lose. It's always been Biden's to lose. And since Bloomberg and Sanders and Buttigieg and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and Amy Klobuchar, since they've all dropped out of the race and most of them are coalescing behind Biden, the movement to deny Bernie Sanders the nomination is well underway. Now, Bernie might do well in Michigan, he might do well in Washington, but with all of these other candidates out of the race, the math for Biden to get to 1,991 on the first ballot in the Democrat convention in July, that math has now swung suddenly and sharply to Biden's favor. So, why do I predict a Biden-Buttigieg ticket? Why have I been predicting it for months? Because Biden is old. Biden is a little bit frail. Biden has some votes when he was in the U.S. Senate, such as supporting the Hyde Amendment or originally supporting legislation that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Biden voted in favor of the Iraq War. Biden's got a little bit of baggage that Bernie is going to use against him and that there are liberals who just don't like. But by picking Buttigieg, he gets a pass. Buttigieg is a vet who served in Afghanistan. Buttigieg is homosexual. Buttigieg is pro-abortion. And the big thing that Buttigieg would bring to the ticket for Biden is young enthusiasm. Young people are not enthused about Joe Biden. Young people are enthused about Pete Buttigieg. And the other thing that Buttigieg brings to the table, which is something that Biden is going to need, is money and manpower. Buttigieg is only 37 years old, and yet he was able to raise over $50 million in his presidential bid, and he was able to put together a fairly formidable campaign team in Iowa and in New Hampshire. He collapsed in the South because, by and large, the African-American community does not embrace, endorse, or think it's a good idea for somebody to go into the homosexual lifestyle. Now, here's why this could be a win-win for Biden. Most people vote from the top of the ticket down. But there are people who vote from the bottom of the ticket up. You might remember that Geraldine Ferraro was the first female vice presidential candidate for president with Walter Mondale in 1984. It made a lot of headlines, got a lot of buzz, and there were people that were enthusiastic about seeing a woman as the VP. Hillary, of course, ran for president, so she's been at the top of the ticket. And then you had the former governor of Alaska as the VP pick for McCain, Sarah Palin. These ladies have already made history. Biden gets to have the first homosexual candidate if he picks Buttigieg. And he gets the enthusiasm of the young and the fundraising ability of Buttigieg and the manpower and the volunteers that Buttigieg brought to the table. And he gets the money. Please make no mistake about this. Doesn't matter, if Bloomberg throws in another $100 million for Biden. President Trump is amassing an unthinkable war chest. The Democrats need money. A massive part of the Buttigieg money came from homosexuals who do not have the burden, the expense, the financial burden that comes with a family. They have what is called expendable income. And so Pete Buttigieg tapped into that, and if he becomes the Biden VP pick, that money is going to be at the disposal of a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. So why would Biden pick Buttigieg? The youth enthusiasm, manpower, money. It would help try and bring some of that momentum back that Buttigieg had. The headlines of the first homosexual vice president, that would put him in line for the presidency. And for the black people who don't want a VP or anybody for that matter, and a high elected official who's openly homosexual, they're still going to vote for Biden because he was Obama's vice president. That's my prediction, a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. We've got a long way to go, but I promise you this. No matter who wins the Democrat nomination, I personally and my family and my staff and the team we put together, we will do everything in our power to see that the Biden people and his team are defeated in November for the sole purpose of having President Trump be able to appoint pro-life judges to the Supreme Court who will vote to overturn Roe versus Wade. The lives of these babies are the most important, critical, ethical, moral struggle. The right of these babies to be alive, it is the paramount issue of our times. Just like slavery was in 1850 or 1860. Child killing, ending child killing, is the most important thing we can do with our vote. And I am committed to be a voice for the voiceless. I ask you to pray for us. We'll see if I'm right, but I'm telling you, whatever it is, we're going to go after Joe Biden. Please don't go away. I've got more to talk about. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. Welcome back, friend. I want to focus for a moment on Joe Biden and the pro-life cause. Most of you know that I am a born-again, Bible-believing, evangelical Roman Catholic. Go ahead, scratch your head and say, huh, what? And that's not the purpose of this show. I just don't talk about the divisions that exist in the Christian community on a denominational basis. And the reason for that, it's twofold. One is that years and years ago, when I read Corrie ten Boom's book, The Hiding Place, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was an evangelical at that time. I was in Bible college, a wonderful Protestant Bible school called Elam Bible Institute. I was the president of the student body, and I'm so glad I went to school there because of the formation that it had for me, the discipleship that I incurred being there helped prepare me for a life of service for the gospel in a way that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else. Well, Corrie ten Boom's book, The Hiding Place, had stories of when she was in the concentration camp. And she was with women from every conceivable Christian background in jail. All of them perhaps facing imminent death. And it hit me. They all believe in Jesus. I was raised a nominal Protestant, baptized as a child in a Protestant church, but my family was not devout. I had a strong conversion when I was 17 years old, was in Bible school, but I realized someday we could all be in real trouble. And that's not the time we want to be quibbling. If we're all sitting in a jail cell together somewhere, that's not the time to be quibbling about our denominational differences. And then fast forward, in my pro-life work with Operation Rescue, I was in jail with evangelicals, Roman Catholics, Greek Orthodox, mainline Protestants. I was arrested in New York City with 51 clergy. If you look at the page, the front cover of, I think it was Newsday, had a Catholic bishop, a Jewish rabbi, and an evangelical pastor side by side. You know, that's almost like the opening of a joke, right? What do you get when you put a bishop, a rabbi, and a preacher together? You get arrested. So I was in jail. So the stuff I read about in The Hiding Place, obviously I wasn't in Nazi Germany and I wasn't in a concentration camp facing imminent death, but we were arrested and we were in jail together over and over and over again. And I decided that I was going to say, I believe in Jesus and I want to save babies from death. And then one day, many years later, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I was constantly facing criticism. When I was an evangelical preacher, I was facing criticism that I worked with Roman Catholics. And I said to one guy one time, I said, let me ask you a question. If your little child, 2-year-old, was drowning, some freakish accident happened and your child was in the middle of drowning and you needed one other person's help to save your child from death, and there they were, and you needed that person to save your baby from death. Before you accepted their help, would you say to them, are you saved? Are you born again? Do you believe in infant baptism? Do you believe in adult baptism? Do you speak in tongues? Do you believe in tongues? How many books in the Bible are there? Would you grill them? What denomination are you? Wait a minute. You're a Catholic. I won't work with a Catholic. Not to save my child. It's ludicrous. To save my child, I would work with a heathen. And so would you. And so I decided that my mission was to honor our Lord Jesus Christ and to save babies from death. When someone's life is in imminent danger of being snuffed out, you can set aside denominational debates. You can set aside what you would call normal behavior, public behavior. In other words, if somebody's about to die, you scream, help! You don't carry on a normal, nice conversation. You scream, if someone's about to be murdered, you scream bloody murder. And so I learned that I would prioritize my faith and the lives of innocent babies with those that I worked with from various denominational backgrounds. I'm asking you to do the same. I'm asking you to do the same. And so when I look at Joe Biden, I see a Roman Catholic who says that he's a faithful follower of the Catholic Church and yet he supports the murder of babies from conception until birth. This is demonic. This is evil. And it appalls me when I look at polls that say over 50%, the last poll I looked at said 55% of Roman Catholics want Trump out of office. 32% of evangelicals, self-described evangelicals, want Trump out of office. Now, I make no bones about it. I put all of this through the grid of babies' lives. Yes, I want lower taxes. Yes, I want our border protected. Yes, I think that Islamic terrorism is a threat to us and we need to deal with immigration. Yes, I want better trade deals. All of those things matter to me, but they matter to me. For me, I have a selfish vested interest in a lot of this stuff. Who speaks for the babies? They can't run, they can't hide, they can't fight back, they can't vote, they can't lobby. If you and I don't speak up for these babies, who will? And so I see Biden and I see treachery. I see Catholic bishops, Catholic priests holding their tongue, saying nothing. I see evangelical pastors, leaders saying nothing. And I will not sit idly by. I am a follower of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And he said, love your neighbor as yourself. And then he said, what does it mean? Someone said, what does it mean? Jesus said, there's a man dying in a ditch. Who's going to save his life? That's what I'm going to do. The priest and the rabbi walked by. The priest and the Levite walked by. I'm not going to walk by. And I ask you to join me. Let's be the Good Samaritan in the political realm and save the babies' lives, make some sacrifices, take some risks for the sake of the innocent. That's why I am opposed to a Biden presidency. He will appoint pro-abortion judges to the federal judiciary and to the Supreme Court. And President Trump has promised to give us judges that will overturn Roe versus Wade and will defend the innocent. So for the sake of the innocent, I'm going to do everything I can to see Joe Biden or whoever the Democrat nominee is defeated. I'll be right back.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words. Let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the coronavirus. Nobody wants to get sick. This is for sure a more dangerous form of the flu than normal flus that come through. It's nothing as bad as far as the percentage of fatality as SARS or as MERS. Those had a 9-point, almost 10-point death rate and over 30% death rate, respectively. We don't know how many people have it. I mean, right now, there's like 400 confirmed cases in the U.S. and about 20 deaths at the time of this taping. It's, between now when I tape this and tonight when the show airs, that number is going to go up. But there's two different elements that I want to talk about here. And I have to be very careful because people have died. I hate death. Death is an enemy. The Bible says death is the last enemy to be swallowed up in victory. Every single year in America, tens of thousands of people die from the flu. This year, tens of thousands of people have died from the flu. It happens every year. And virtually all flus originate in China. Why so much attention on the coronavirus? There's two factors. One is that the death rate of those who do get tested is higher than the normal flu. It's not exponentially higher. It is higher. It's nothing like SARS, nothing like MERS. Some of us remember the news coverage then, but it wasn't anything like now. So yes, it's more dangerous statistically, but not off the charts. So why? Why this massive media coverage? And why the bad media coverage? Do you realize that of the 20 deaths that have occurred so far, virtually, if not all of them, have occurred with the elderly? Most of them have occurred with the elderly in a nursing home or an assisted care or some kind of a health facility, or people who had underlying sicknesses, which is just how it is with a regular flu. That's who dies with the flu, the very old, the sick, or the young. So what else is at play here? I'm going to tell you when I come back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. So what could be one other thing at play here in the coronavirus? Well, the virus itself, nothing. I mean, the U.S. government is doing everything that it possibly can, and I mean that. State governments are doing what they can. People are behaving, for the most part, responsibly. Forget that lunatic guy up in New Hampshire who was a health official and went into a hospital anyway. You got to wonder sometimes. I'm going to tell you what's at play. I have heard 2 different Democrat officials say on national television, this virus presents an opportunity for the Democrats. What? The virus presents an opportunity for the Democrats, excuse me? What, is it only going to hurt Republican people? What did I miss? Right after this became a thing in the news, Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, you know, the one who made the threats recently against Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, he said the president was caught flat-footed. This shows the ineptness of the Trump presidency. And you see, if you turn on CNN, MSNBC, look at the Washington Post or the New York Times said this should be called the Trump virus. That's what they're talking about. See, they're talking about having an impact on the election. So there's 2 ways that this can have an impact on the election. One is that they just beat this drum. President Trump is ill-equipped. President Trump doesn't care. President Trump isn't for the little guy. He put Mike Pence in charge of this. He's not a doctor. Why is Mike Pence in charge of heading up the coronavirus epidemic and the U.S. response to it? Mock, undermine. That's number one. Number two, it's even more insidious. Yesterday's headline, the airline saying that this could have a bigger impact on the airline industry than 9/11, or of that level of magnitude, because people are stopping traveling right now. I'm telling you, there are Democrats right now who hate President Trump so much that they're hoping not just to undermine his credibility, but they're hoping that the economy goes south, that the economy starts to do really poorly because of the coronavirus. Why would they want that, Randall? Because the economy is President Trump's shield. We probably, by most economic indicators, have never had an American economy this strong. And President Trump, because of his renegotiated trade deals and his Go America, his America First stance, he's largely responsible for our economic boom right now. He really is. So if they can make the economy go down the drain with fear tactics, then President Trump doesn't have that shield and it makes him vulnerable in the election. It's insidious, but it could be happening.